All right, let's get right into it. If you're prepping for your GCSE English language exams, you might be feeling like you're just staring at this massive, overwhelming mountain of texts, terminology, and confusing questions. But don't worry, because today's explainer is your definitive student guide to unlocking those top marks. We're going to demystify exactly what the examiners are looking for, pulling the cheat codes directly from official examiner reports and mark schemes.
To help you feel a bit less overwhelmed, we're going to level up your skills through 5 strategic stages today. First, decoding the mark scheme. Then, structuring your perfect paragraph. Third, analyzing language and structure. Fourth, mastering the evaluation question. And finally, avoiding common exam traps. So, stage 1, decoding the mark scheme, or as I like to call it, the rules of the game.
Look, to win any game, you first need to understand the rules, right? In this case, that means knowing how examiners grade your analytical skills. The Assessment Objective 2, or AO2 mark scheme, maps out your whole journey. At level 1, you're making a simple, limited comment. By level 2, you're attempting to comment on the effect. Level 3 is where things get clear and relevant. But if you want those top grade 9 marks, level 4, your analysis has to be, quote, perceptive and detailed. You need to judiciously select your examples and really use that sophisticated subject terminology.
Now, you might be wondering, what does that actually look like? The stark contrast between a mid-level answer and a top-tier level 4 answer literally just comes down to moving from attempting to comment to perceptively analyzing. Examiners note that top students don't just grab any random quote. Their evidence is judiciously selected, meaning they pick the absolute best, most flavor-packed words to analyze. They also actively use signpost phrases like, "This engages the reader," to show the examiner exactly what they're up to.
All right, moving on to stage 2, structuring your perfect paragraph, equipping your primary weapon. Now that we know what the examiner wants, let's equip your primary weapon for those extended analytical responses. You've probably heard of it, the PEAL structure: point, evidence, explain, link. It gives your paragraph a really clear beginning, middle, and end, making it so much easier for examiners to reward your ideas. You start with a snappy one-sentence statement directly answering the question. Then, drop in that judiciously selected quote. Next is your explanation of the meaning and effect, which is absolutely the meat of your paragraph, before finally linking it all back to the question. But let's zoom in on that explain step for a second, because this is where the magic really happens. The depth of this explanation is literally what separates a grade 5 answer from a grade 9. When you drop a quote, you have to interrogate it. What does it literally mean? What's bubbling beneath the surface? How does it actually make the reader feel? And, this is absolutely crucial, are there alternative interpretations? Examiners love flexible thinking. If a word like storm could mean the actual weather, but also imply a character's emotional turmoil, point both out. That right there is the essence of perceptive analysis. Okay, stage 3, analyzing language and structure. Let's get into some advanced combat tactics. With your paragraph structure locked in, we need to talk about one word. Why? Seriously, this is the most important word in your entire exam. When you're picking apart structural devices or language, this simple question has to be the rhythmic pulse of your essay. Why did the writer make these specific decisions? The absolute best marks come from answering this final why question with your own genuine interpretation of the writer's intent. And you know, part of this is choosing the right weapon for the task. PEAL is fantastic for deep dives into a single text's language and effects. But if you're dealing with a comparison question for 2 different texts, using a rigid PEAL structure for every single point is going to slow you right down. In those cases, switch to a comparative structure. Make a point about text A, use a connective, and immediately compare it to text B. It's a massive time saver. Next up, stage 4, mastering the evaluation question, aka the boss battle. Question 4 on the AQA paper asks you to evaluate the effectiveness of a text, and yeah, it can totally feel like the final boss battle of the exam. You'll usually get a statement about the text and have to respond to it. To score highly here, you absolutely must come to an informed, evidence-based personal judgment. You are the critic here, so confidently express your own opinions on the text's strengths and weaknesses, and back them up with precise textual references. Now, I need to clear something up because there's this massive myth out there that to get top marks here, you have to argue both sides, like you must find a counter-argument. Well, the reality, straight from the examiners themselves, is that a counter-argument is not essential. In fact, you'll actually be way more successful if you just develop a strong, continuous, original argument. Don't flip-flop. Just make well-reasoned judgments and keep drilling down into exactly why you agree or disagree based on the writer's methods.
Finally, we reach stage 5, avoiding common exam traps. This is all about surviving the game.
We've scoured the official examiner reports from boards like WJEC and AQA, and here are the massive pitfalls you need to avoid. First, do not write lengthy, general introductions about the text's audience or purpose. Just skip it and get straight into the analysis. Second, don't just bolt on terminology. Spotting a simile and naming it without explaining its effect gets you literally nowhere. Third, quality always beats sheer quantity. Don't write pages and pages just hoping to stumble into a mark. And lastly, never, ever just summarize the story. You are there to analyze how the text constructs meaning, not just tell the examiner what happens.
But honestly, here's a truly liberating fact to keep in mind. We spend so much time sweating over the perfect structure or memorizing a dictionary of obscure literary terms, right? Well, the exam boards themselves state they actually prefer your original ideas over rigid scaffolds. If you can perceptively explain a writer's intent and offer a genuinely interesting, nuanced analysis of what a text means, they will reward you for it. You don't need to panic about the fancy jargon if your insights are sharp. So, we've decoded the mark scheme, equipped the Peel structure, tackled the boss battle, and mapped out the traps. The tools are officially in your hands. So, what does this all mean for your next practice paper? Are you ready to stop summarizing, start perceptively analyzing, and truly unlock your grade 9 potential? Thanks for joining me on this Explainer Focus Learners. Get out there and conquer that exam.